Hi, welcome to vlog number 30 from me looking at trying to achieve a double bodyweight squat after 12 months of coming back from lockdown last year. So this is the 30th edition of this, so it seems to be going on for a while now. This is the first post since Christmas. I missed probably a couple of weeks through the Christmas period, and I have trained a bit over Christmas, but not too much. A combination of different things, mainly because it was family time, and that should have been my priority for that period of time. Gym closed, obviously, meant opportunity to train was a bit less, and just had a bit of a bug. Thankfully, managed to avoid Corona for Christmas, which I don't think many people did. But touch wood, that's not come knocking on my door just yet. So yeah, just had a bit of a deload, really, kind of mental, physical deload. Over the Christmas period, which involved eating far too many calories, which is what I'll talk about next. So when I started this journey, one of the secondary drivers behind this was to make some kind of meaningful change to body composition and to body mass in total. Obviously, from a double bodyweight squat point of view, the less you weigh, the less you have to squat. I haven't really done that very well. It's definitely the weak point of the journey so far, and I need to kind of get that under kind of control. So over Christmas, I fell foul to what everybody does over Christmas and ate far too many calories. So basically, if I can share this, since probably November. Body mass has just been escalating quite dramatically, and it's going in absolutely the wrong direction. Now, I kind of, just before Christmas, explained a little bit about kind of having a newborn and the disruption to sleep and tiredness and lethargy and all that kind of stuff, how that drove things as well. And I started taking colostrum, and I think that's had a bit of an impact as well. I think I've had a bit of a response to that from a body mass point of view. But it's largely driven by calories. I can't put a couple of kilos on colostrum's door. It's the quality streets and lack of general physical activity that's kind of driven that, really. But the positive news is the little one's sleeping better now. She's having like 5-6 hours for the overnight stint, so that helps me. Still broken sleep, don't get me wrong, but it's still having kind of like a 5-6 hour block of sleep at night does make you feel a lot better in the morning, and you're not kind of having those kind of late night cravings and things like that you got when you were having kind of 2 to 3 hours sleep at a time. So yeah, things are definitely on the horizon. As you can see there, just at the very end of that graph, things are starting to come back down a bit now. If we go into kind of the next slide, this is like in terms of body composition. So this is where it's kind of not all doom and gloom. It's not good, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to lose weight, not gain weight, so I can't pretend it's not positive. But looking at changing body composition, you see that top line, which is the orange line. That kind of seemed to be going up. That was the fat-free mass. So basically, that was going up as well. That meant that there was some kind of hypertrophic response. Not a lot, don't get me wrong. I'm not kind of suddenly kind of chucked on 10 kilos of lean muscle mass, but what that does mean, it wasn't entirely down to fat mass. If you look at that blue line at the bottom, you can see Christmas's effect there, that kind of little uptick in fat mass at Christmas. That was definitely not down to colostrum, definitely not down to training, it was definitely down to quality streets and beer. Although I didn't have that much beer. Definitely down to chocolate. So that's kind of where I am. But I suppose it's a similar narrative to everybody after Christmas. We've just got to kind of knuckle down and get on with January and get the numbers back down again. So yeah, having a bit of a cutback now, having a bit of a kind of the pendulum swinging back the other way and trying to be something a lot more protein focused. So let's get the body composition side of things over and done with. So in terms of a program, so I had a really kind of broken period of training. Probably over 3 months, really. I was on the same program, but I never really had a 3 months consistently doing it all the time for a number of different reasons. But this kind of period of time, I got the adaptations I wanted before Christmas. Had my deload. Now I'm ready for a new block of training, new phase of training. And I'm not going to kind of throw the baby out of the bathwater. I think there's a lot of good things in that program that I want to keep. Not making wholesale changes, but making some changes to keep on progressing. And hopefully I'm going to try to explain a little bit about kind of my thinking behind why I've made these particular changes. So in the previous vlog number 29, I talked about the kind of periodization approach, but this is in terms of the programming and just some of the biomechanics behind some of the decision-making processes that I've made. So this is the program. So for those people, I would like to look at numbers and exercise and stuff like that. So both sessions, so doing 2 sessions per week, a squat day, and I call it a pull day, but it's kind of starting to change a little bit now away from specifically pulling. It's still kind of a low intensity posterior chain kind of day, but it's certainly not a traditional push-pull kind of split anymore. So both days start off with either a clean or a jerk or clean or a snatch, so either 70 or 50 kilos, and that's my monitoring, and I'll show you the data from that in a second. And then we've got a higher intensity day. We're looking at kind of maxing at 5 repetitions per exercise, or a lower intensity day at 10 repetitions. So again, still using Charlie Francis's high low intensity days. And then I've got a periodization approach for the squat day. So I think I keep the pull days as a constant, because that's the low intensity, lower volume day anyway. And then build the volume and intensity with the squatting day. So that's kind of, those are the exercises, and I try to explain why I've gone with what I've gone with. So the main thing for me really is it's about executing the squat. So this is kind of a schematic diagram of what a kind of a high bar bottom position of a squat looks like. And everybody's got slightly different biomechanics depending on limb lengths and torso lengths and all those kinds of things. But typically, for me, and a lot of people I've coached them before, where you start to get heavy squats, you get some kind of mechanical fail, some kind of mechanical breakdown, because your upper body, if where the back is levered, if I imagine that's the kind of upper body, it gets pushed forwards, because the bar's on the back, it's going to push the chest down. And particularly me with my anterior pelvic tilt, I have a forward lean anyway, so that's really kind of a red flag for me. So it's going to kind of push me down. And I do notice that in squatting, I tend to get very kind of chest down. When it gets heavy, I'll get a little bit tired. So when I get up to the heavier weights, doing singles and doubles and triples and those kinds of things, I need to be trying to protect that, prevent that from happening. And just improve your technique is one thing. But what is it that's going to allow you to have that technique, especially what's going to maintain that technique under extreme load? And if you look at like a constraints-based approach, Neil's constraints-based approach, the organism, how my body allows me to squat will be the limiting factor. So one of the things I've started to think about is my kind of the posterior core, if you like. So your core is a kind of belt of muscle around the abdomen, but it actually starts off from neck down to kind of hips really. And if that is unable to maintain that spine in an upright position under extreme duress and extreme load, it is going to kind of fail. It is going to move forwards, either kind of bend or just generally drop as a whole. And that's where you start to get your chest forwards, and you start to have different kind of mechanical fails, and ultimately you just don't squat very well, and hopefully you don't injure yourself in the process. So what I'm going to try and do is try to think about exercises that would prevent those kind of mechanical failures from happening. So just kind of clarifying that means, so basically if you start having your kind of chest leaning forwards, the first thing that happens from a performance point of view is you're going to have less ability to transfer force to the ground, and then up through the ground, up through the spine into the bar to squat the bar. So he's not going to like to squat the best. That's from a performance point of view. Then you start to have that kind of leaning over position. You start to have shear force on the spine, and an over reliance on the paraspinals to extend the hip. So you're going to have a multitude of crap that's going to happen. That's not going to A, reduce your squatting performance, and B, put you kind of at risk of injury, either short-term kind of catastrophic injury from trauma or from just kind of having back pain and back problems. So neither of those things are really helpful. So what we're going to try and do is have some way of increasing my ability to retain the upright, or as upright position as you can be in the back squat. Front squat is a bit more upright, basically maintaining an upright position as long as possible. So posterior core strength improves, that prevents the forward lean, so all those muscles in the kind of the back of the core are able to hold that spine upright for longer under more stress. That then allows for greater force transmission from feet to bar, reduces spinal shear forces, improves my posture, generally speaking, so not just when I'm squatting, kind of in all occasions. Posture improves, and then that kind of has the kind of flow-on effect, that kind of downstream effect of getting rid of those back spasms and hip tightness that I've been struggling with, just kind of every now and again. So I think there's a kind of a huge opportunity here for me to A, squat better, and B, just take care of some kind of spinal back health stuff as well. So what I've thought about is just keeping with the relatively similar kind of exercise selection and choices. Is here the exercises where I've highlighted in red where I think there's a bit of an opportunity to improve those kind of posterior chain, core strength kind of muscles. So front squats, first of all, just trying to teach myself from the technical point of view how to stay more upright in the squat, so I'm less relying on the kind of paraspinals to have that hip extension. Into good mornings. So in previous weeks, I'd done an RDL. They're both hip hinge, hip extension exercises. But it's just where you place the load on the spine and how that affects the musculature and our adaptations you get. So if you put the load at the end of the bar, end of the body, sorry, the kind of lower back muscle have to work that bit harder because the lever arm, the length of the arm has increased. So yes, the load is lighter and the mechanical stress on the hips, so the glutes and the hamstrings to move the load is relatively similar. But my understanding is that we're going to have a greater transfer of training to the lower back from an isometric point of view, not using this to move the bar, but isometrically holding them from a core strength point of view. We've got farmer's walk. So farmer's walks is just really about having the upright posture. Maintain upright posture, and as you walk, your body position, how you distribute the force changes constantly, so you're having to really constantly recalibrate your core control, your core posture. I think that's a very general exercise. So looking at Bondarchuk's dynamic correspondence, I think it's a general way of training those paraspinals without actually targeting that same movement. Then into the uneven split squats loading. So basically on that one, it's a split squat with a very slow tempo, slow down, slow up. But I might put I don't know, 20 to 30% extra load on one side. But we're not talking about heavy load. So I might have 40 kilo loading on the bar and then an extra 5 on one side, and then change legs and then move the bar to the side. And allow the clips to be right at the end of the bar so it can slide around a lot. So there's a lot of variability, and they're just making sure you have that upright central spinal position. So again, your core's really working really hard to maintain the upright position and hopefully develop some core strength there. And then the final one is the glute ham iso hold. So for those who are familiar with the glute hams, it's basically trying to imagine that your body's prone, but only you tie upper body after your thighs are unsupported, and you just have to use your glutes, paraspinals, QLs, erector spinae, just to maintain a perfect neutral position, just kind of holding a plate for 3 lots of 10 seconds. So that's the program, and hopefully that will then start to have some kind of core strengthening approach. And then when I come back to heavier back squatting, I can maintain a much better upright position. And start to generate every last bit of force I do produce is related to or transferred into squatting performance, as opposed to not being able to express the amount of force that I can do through poor technique or the core being the limiting factor. So hopefully I've explained kind of the decision making behind the training plan, and it's not just making some stuff up as I go along. There's a bit of a rhyme and a reason behind it.